Hey there guys, DMO73 bringing you commentary for the match for this week. It's just 2 games unfortunately. This is a red, green, blue Bahamut Combo versus Mono Blue Wererabbit Tempo with Little Red as the ruler. He rolled a 7 to my 3. This was a guy that I met at Acen. He was a really awesome guy. Played a lot of games with him that weekend. He was gracious enough to sit down with me for the match. I'm mulligan 3. I think and then he mulligans 2. So the Bahamut Combo deck is all about kind of what we've seen before with like Yamada, Humpty Dumpty, that kind of stuff, as well as some control elements. He pops a Little Red, the True Stone, off the top. I believe he calls it green, if I don't remember. And unfortunately, in his deck, that's really not what he wanted to see. But you know, he tried to make that work. He ends up using it to summon the Elvish Priest to try to, again, get that kind of ramp ahead. So it's a very interesting deck, unlike what you would normally see. And I unfortunately hit the Moonlight Stone, which means that I have no color for the first turn. So yeah, his deck used a lot of ramp and a lot of counter abilities just to be able to stall for time in order to be able to pull off the Yamada, Humpty Dumpty kind of combo. Still no red for him. Gets the Deepwood Stone. So now he's sitting at 3 green or 1 blue mana. So he passes to me. There we go. I hit my blue stone, so now I have access to the 2 blue. Now I run the Moonlight Stone because I need the moon. I need the Moon Will to be able to activate some of the abilities of some of the Wererabbits. So I go ahead and spend that 2 to throw out. Yeah, throw out. I think that's Yin. It's either Yin or Yang. It's the one that boosts up its attack by paying a will. He responds by, during my turn, paying 3 to get that feasting out on the board, to get that body out while he can just spend the free mana before he untaps. Really solid play there. Even if I'm not going to attack, being able to put that creature on board during my turn also serves as ramping for him. Finally hits that red, so now he's sitting with 5 mana. It's a good place for him to be. That is a green-red stone. He taps 3 to summon his Humpty Dumpty to set up for his plays later on for his combo play. So Humpty Dumpty lets you banish pay a blue and banish him to reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a Resonator, you get to put it into play for field. So his whole deck is to kind of chump his way into getting Resonators by doing that. And so I play Campanella, the Milky Way Moon, who lets me pull out a Tsukiyomi, the Moon City, and because Tsukiyomi, the Moon City is technically a moon card, it'll let me J-activate my Little Red for free and deal 800 damage to that Humpty Dumpty. I don't want to see a Yamada early, I don't want to see a Gilderai too early, so I want to kill that as fast as possible. It's a little bit of a risk because of the fact that he has that red up. So I deal quick 400 damage to him, and then he lets me go through with the 1200. So I got lucky in that regard that he didn't have Thunder, because a quick Thunder would have quickly turned against me with Little Red. But it still did its job in terms of getting that spot removal of Humpty Dumpty off board. A lot of people, the main reason why Little Red is used in this deck is because of the fact that Campanella can pull out those moon cards for free J activates very quickly from anywhere in the deck for Little Red. So hits that extra bit of damage in there. My opponent plays a Guardia, which lets him set up his stone deck. He doesn't technically have to reveal it. You see him put it up there. It's a Deepwoods, and I kind of remind him of that, but he was just playing for kind of his own style, I guess, for what he uses at his locals. And so he sets that Deepwood up on the top. Just for those of you who are playing, just remember you don't have to do that. You don't have to reveal what stone it is that you're putting on top. And then he immediately calls it to make sure he wanted to get the stone that he wanted from it. So he's sitting at 3 mana. And you go ahead and lets it pass to me. So with no present danger on the board, I need to get some more mana out. I don't really need to use Little Red right now. I just need to get creatures on board. I end up also needing to get some draw power moving. So I thought about playing Night of the New Moon for a second, but I think based on the situation I decided against it, even though the need for draw power was heavy. But then I decided to go into it anyway, just so that I can dig into my deck a little faster. I decided to swing in for that 400 to see what'll happen. My opponent lets it go through, no worries. Deciding whether or not I want to summon another creature this turn or leave my mana up for what I got in my hand. I decided to let it pass to him. I believe I have a rabbit kick in hand at this point in time, and because I have the Wererabbits, I want to make sure that I have the mana to be able to play it, just in case a more present danger comes into play. My opponent hits his second red source, so now he's up to pretty well stocked. He's got a good supply of green, he's got a good supply of red, and blue. Plays that other Humpty Dumpty. Choosing to tap those 3 down. We had a bunch of people around us, so I apologize for the shakiness of the camera. There were a bunch of people standing around and not paying attention. So my opponent swings at the Guardia, and I'm thinking about whether or not I want to try and use my spell that I have in my hand to maybe bounce it and mitigate the damage. I decide to pump up to try. He tries to trade, and I try and attempt to pump up my yin to give it a plus 800, but then he responds with his Little Red the Pure Stone to make Guardia a 1k. Really, really good play. And at the end turn, I go ahead and draw to get some of the stuff that I really need, because I get a free untap at the start of my next turn anyway. So I play another Campanella to try and pull out another moon source, but my opponent quickly Z's it before I actually dig into my deck. So he taps those 2 mana down, leaving his Feasting up, and since I have no other way to be able to deactivate this turn, I go ahead and pull, tap for mana now that my play is over. So that's the good thing about this deck, is it can still transition really well to still creating mana. If your Campanella play doesn't go through, you still have your you still have Little Red on board to be able to tap for mana to kind of recuperate it. It's set up for future plays. So this is quickly becoming a problem for me. A bigger and bigger board, ever-growing presence. He's got more and more mana every turn, putting out bigger and bigger threats. He's got that Humpty Dumpty, which is just sitting there, and then he actually taps to search for Yamada. So I know that the combo is coming. So I see that he's searching for Yamada, and he most likely has a treasure hat in hand to be able to set that onto the top of his deck to set it up for Humpty Dumpty. So I'm in a position where I really need to have an answer or something to disrupt this play. Otherwise, I'm quickly going to be staring down a Yamada, which at this point in time would probably be fatal. Even though I'm at 40 life, with lack of established board presence and lack of mana, Yamada is just going to be too much for me to handle. My opponent spends 6 mana here to throw out a Gilderai, so he's still gonna just keep throwing that threat on board to me. But I respond with that by doing Rabbit Kick to bounce the Gilderai, as well as I believe Feasting. Yep, to essentially tap him out of mana for the turn. Because I control the Wererabbit, I tap to bounce 2 creatures back. So now he's completely mana'd out, and I get put in a little bit better position. So he passes to me. So that was a good ability to be able to recover there. I try and go, I have a Tsukiyomi in my hand, and I want to get that J-Activate out. So I use that again to quickly take that Humpty off board, like I said before. So that's 2 Humpties down. I have 2 more to deal with. And I could swing in, but with that Guardia being where it is, it's almost impossible for me to be able to keep Little Red alive. Because literally as soon as Little Red takes any kind of damage, she's going to get destroyed. Because of that low defense. So I tap my Knight of the New Moon to try and possibly draw into a card that can clear the way. Unfortunately, I don't think I did. So I just go ahead and pass it to my opponent and keep my little red alive. He taps quickly to pump up Guardia during the draw phase, so that Guardia is now at 1200, 800 for the turn. My opponent taps for some more mana, hits that Feasting, so now he's more for safe for my spells, which is, I mean, a good position for him to be in now, especially after that one rabbit kick set him back so far and let me kind of recoup some of the progress. At this point in time, Campanella is pretty much worthless, so I go ahead and block the play from Guardia. I don't want to take that 1200 damage, and even if he throws out another Humpty Dumpty, I was hoping that he would possibly throw out Gilderai and I just take the raw damage. But he pulls out another Humpty Dumpty, which means, again, I've got to continue. I know he's got that Yamada in his hand, so I have to find a way to deal with it. So we try this one more time. We use Little Red again to hit that Humpty Dumpty, which manages to go through. And I attempt to swing, and my opponent responds with a Thunder. So I knew it was coming eventually, but still I was able to get 3 of the 4 Humpty Dumpties out of the way, which put in a lot of work, saved me from that combo. So then I'm thinking about whether or not to risk my draw engine at this point. I go ahead and decide to throw out a Yang, the opposite one, that pumps up its defense by paying a Moonwill, so it can pump up to a 400, 800 by pumping with a single Moonwill payment. So me over there with my Feasley 2 mana, and my opponent is quickly running away with having a much more accessible resource pool than me. He decides to swing in for the 800, and I go ahead and take it. I want to keep my draw engine alive as much as possible. He throws out that Gilderai. Costs him 6, but he still has that 2 left over. Swings in. I go ahead and block because Yang does has flying. Well, most Wererabbits have flying, so I was able to block with the Gilderai. And at the end of the turn, I'm going to utilize Knight of the New Moon to get that other draw in. Now the little red is now dead to the world. Just use it to tap that mana, hit that Moon Shade, tap 3 to throw out my Dark Shining Swordsman. This is a very good card. Just for the cost of 2 Moonwill, I can make the attack of target Resonator 0 for the turn. Very powerful card. It's going to serve as my kind of defense mechanism against those Gilderais that are going to start getting thrown out at me pretty fast. So now we're starting to see those Cheshire Cats. He knows that his Humpty Dumpties are all but dead, so he's been holding on to that Cheshire Cat for the time to be able to set up the Yamada play. But at this point in time, it's better for him to just go ahead and start using them, considering the fact that he is out of... he only has 1 Humpty Dumpty left in the deck, so he might as well just try and go ahead and dig it. Taps to get a search, grabs that other Gilderai. This is a point that Bahamut, even without J activating, can really turn things around because he can just keep searching for a Gilderai almost every turn, and he's got so much mana that it's not really that big of a deal. And eventually, he's just going to be able to overpower me, which is not a good position for me to be in. But that's why I have the Dark Shining Swordsman to at least hold off for a little bit. But hopefully I can make a play to recover. All in all, this is not a great spot for me to be in. I mean, I got that early game damage in, yes, but I'm quickly facing a larger and larger board presence, so I don't quite know what I'm going to do. So I don't know why someone reached in and fiddled with my cards there. Again, like I said, we had a bunch of people watching and a bunch of people were branding for the game. So he was going to Dragon King's Flame, my Dark Shining Swordsman, and before he did, I went ahead and paid the 2 Moon Will to negate, to put Gilderoy's attack down to 0 for the turn. So essentially making it worthless to attack with him. So here I am with my little Wererabbit staring down a monumental board. I go ahead and try and do a Night of the New Full Moon, Swordsman of the Full Moon to bounce a card, but he just Z's it. So at this point in time, I'm sitting with very, very little mana, and I just have to establish a presence of some kind to be able to survive, but it's not looking good for me at this point. So again, there's this massive board. My opponent is just thinking about exactly how he wants to approach it. Before he makes any kind of commitments, he's just going to go ahead and swing in. I pay one will to make one of my Knights in the New Moon flying, and then in response to the attack, just to be able to block the Gilderoy. It's a cheap little trick. Helps me dig into my deck a little bit more too, but it's not going to last me forever. Especially now that I'm tapped out, so I know he has another Gilderoy in my hand. And just to serve things even more, he thunders that guy. And I quickly, before it dies, I quickly do the draw. And there's that second Gilderoy that I knew was coming. I'm just going to go ahead and have to take all of that damage, all 1,400 of it, because of all the extra stones that he's got there, leaving me at 1,000 life. He swings in with the Guardia, but then pumps it up another 200 with his Little Red the Pure Stone, putting it to game 2. That was nothing I was going to be able to handle. So game 2, I'm going to be going first. This is unfortunately the only other game in the video today, guys, because we had an issue with the recording. But I decided to keep all 5 while my opponent decides to mulligan 2. Looks like he grabbed a Feasting there, and there's a Z's in his hand. So we go ahead and get started. Hit that blue off the top, which is what I wanted. I didn't want to miss a turn 1 play, so I throw down Piloting Universe. Just a little 200 that can give itself flying. Or sorry, 300 that can give itself flying. He hits that Little Red the Pure Stone off the top again, not what he wanted to see for his deck, so he passes to me. Now I hit the Moonstone, so I have access to Moon, I have access to any color kind of what I want, so I'm able to put some early game pressure on here, I know it. So I get my Bowman of the Crescent Moon, attempt to swing in for the 300, but he just taps down for a Thunder. So my Bowman gets plus 300 for every other Wererabbit I control. So if I control the massive board full of Wererabbit, they can get very, very large very, very quickly. Again, my opponent seems to be on the kind of heavy counter-engine train because of the fact that he has so few. So I go ahead just to get that extra damage in. I try and put a Moon out, but he cancels that with the Cake Zone, so I swing in for a quick 200 damage. Again, passing things to me, I know that he doesn't seem to have any kind of creatures. He's just focusing on counters at this point. I try to throw out a Campanella. He Z's that. I expected it. So I go ahead and let myself tap for a second mana. And don't mind me, I completely forgot to untap my Bowman. I just wasn't paying attention there. And so now that both my Bowmans are 500s. So I swing in for that 500 damage. So he finally gets that first creature out. It's really, really good for him, at least. Unfortunately, not so... Against any other deck, that would be a lot better. Mainly due to the fact that Cheshire Cat can quickly just get a free block because it's untargetable. However, with my flying lineup, it doesn't become as big of a deal. I try and attempt to cast another Campanella. He does not have the response for that one, so I'm able to go ahead and quickly go into my deck. And because I know I need to put pressure on rather than deal with the moon generation, I go for a Pale Moon, and I J-activate. Don't have anything to target with it. I just need to get that creature out on board, hopefully to try and get us a free swing in since Cheshire Cat can't do anything. However, he's got a lot of mana up, but all of my Wererabbits are now, those two Wererabbits are now 700. So I'm hoping that I can get a lot of damage in there, and then maybe I'm hoping that he doesn't have the thunder, which he does, but I knew that was gonna have to come. I'd rather bait it out now and save some of my smaller Wererabbits that I have to pull out, like that one. So I throw out another again, another flyer, another Wererabbit, which then is gonna pump all my Bowman's up, she's gonna get pumped by Pale Moon. So I'm quickly throwing a lot of damage on board here very quickly before my opponent can establish. So the reason there was the extra 2 there is because I did some bad math in my head. So it's 19 to 40. My opponent's only put one creature on board all game. Really, really rough game for him, especially with the ever-mounting presence of my creature. So he's considering at this point whether or not it's even worth it to, whether or not he'll even be able to stop all the damage that I'm going to put into him next turn. What with my 1k flyers, plus a flyer that can pump up, plus whatever I'm going to invest into next turn, and sitting with him only being at 5 mana, it's a rough place for him to be, especially since most of my attackers are flyers. So he goes ahead and just admits defeat to me, and we would have moved on to game 3, and we tried to record it, but then we realized there was the recording issues. So sorry about that, guys, but huge thanks to my opponent for helping me record this match. It was really fun to play against. The deck profile for the Wererabbit deck will be up this Saturday. Go ahead and let me know what you guys thought. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until then, this is DMO73 signing off.